speaking first with Abhishek Manu Singhvi this evening, senior advocate and MP in the Rajya Sabha from the Congress party, and of course, senior jurist. Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, thank you so much for speaking with us on Beyond the Headline. Now, you have invoked, and other leaders have invoked, Arun Jaitley on this issue, the late Arun Jaitley, and also said you have nothing personal against Justice Nazir. Can you explain to us what the issue is?
No, it's much wider than just what Arun said. Let me explain. First and foremost, it is not about people, personalities, individuals. As a matter of fact, I know the judge is a fine gentleman. I'm nothing against the judge, and in fact, he has been a very fine man. The issue is about principle. It's time we had this principle that we will not give political or non-judicial appointments to retired judges. Remember, the independence of judiciary, which this implicates, is part of the basic structure of the Indian Constitution, so held in innumerable cases. And the meaning of basic structure is that you and I, even by a constitutional amendment, cannot amend the Constitution if it affects or impinges upon the basic structure. Now, the problem is, Tamanna, that there are 3 or 4 such appointments in quick succession. All the appointments are to political and semi-political posts. All the appointments involve persons who have handled and have handled in a very deep way highly political, sensitive, and sensational cases. And this diminution of stature of the most important vital organ of the judiciary is as much by perception, by appearance, by feeling. It doesn't have to be by actual proof. So I think this needs to be completely avoided. And of course, I mean, you can only quote to your political adversaries what they have themselves said repeatedly. Post-retirement appointments affect pre-retirement judgments. Now, it is whataboutery. It is political whataboutery and not satisfactory to say you did it in the hoary past, so I'm doing it. Yes, there were some appointments like that, but the atmosphere was certainly not as politically surcharged as it is today. And even it was done, I think this political whataboutery of 2, 3, 5 wrongs make one right is just not on. So I think these are the various 6, 7 facets.
Mr. Singhvi, the current law minister has responded to this criticism and said the whole ecosystem is once again in full swing on the appointment of a governor. They should understand that they can no more treat India as their personal fiefdom. Now, India will be guided by the people of India as per the provisions of the Constitution. What he seems to suggest is that the Constitution does not prohibit this, that a judge can be appointed post-retirement as a governor. How would you respond to that?
If you leave aside the last line of the law minister and repeat each of the earlier lines you just said, tell me a single answer to the issue at hand, except for political rhetoric, except for political whataboutery, except for digression about lobbies and about Lutyens Delhi. There's nothing in that reply. Number 2, certainly 9/10 of good constitutional governance is based on following the spirit of the Constitution, on not allowing the spirit of the Constitution to be decimated, following conventions, following good practices. None of those 90% is written in the Constitution. Britain, in fact, functions without a written Constitution altogether. And before it joined the European Convention, there was no written document. Now, only for a few constitutional matters, the European Charter, before Brexit, used to be the document. Would they get up and say, look, it's not written in the Constitution, so I'll appoint every retiring judge? Is that a logic? The same law minister, unfortunately, has been saying that the basic structure could be junked or trashed. The same law minister has been saying that they should be, despite 3 judgments of the NJAC Supreme Court Constitution benches, despite 3 judgments, he's saying every day that they should have a representative in the collegium of the Supreme Court. Now, just because you hold an office in the government doesn't make you right. It, in fact, betrays a glorified innocence and ignorance of the way
Right.
Indian constitution functions, more importantly, on the way Indian jurisprudence has been laid down.
But what exactly is the concern? If this has been happening, there is no constitutional prohibition against it. What is the concern? What do you think will be the impact of this on the judiciary?
The larger concern, as I said, is nothing to do with individuals, it's to do with principle. Hard cases make bad law. Good persons appointed on a wrong precedent will allow bad persons to be appointed tomorrow on the same wrong precedent. Today, the simple, short, blunt answer to your question, Tamanna, is that people, you, others, your friends, will look over their shoulders, especially during the sunset clause time, which is near retirement, looking over their shoulders to the various plum fruits of the political dispensation available. I'm not saying this gentleman did. I'm saying the matter of principle, which will establish, will be highly prejudicial and deleterious, in fact, destructive of the very independence of judiciary, and really comes to the same point. Post-retirement benefits, lollipops and posts will affect your pre-retirement thinking, whether it starts affecting you 1 year before retirement, 18 months before retirement, or 6 months. And remember here, it's no point doing another set of political whatabouteries. One is that it happened in the past. Second is, but there are judicial appointments made. Judicial appointments to tribunals, they stand on a still different footing. These are political or semi-political appointments, and we can't lose sight of that.
You're saying it's political or semi-political, but the position of governor is gubernatorial at the end of the day. It's a constitutional position for an eminent person, and a retired Supreme Court judge is an eminent person.
Tamanna, are you or am I living in an ivory tower? Have you smelled the coffee or have I missed that? You read every day in the newspapers what governors are doing. You read every day in the newspapers what a gubernatorial post involves. If you consider that to be a sanitized, distant, non-political post, well, I think then we are living in a cloud cuckoo land. Today, governors are in the thick of the political melting pot. Governors are, whether they do it or not is not the point, are repeatedly daily being directed, forced, instructed to do the bidding of their political appointees. There are governors who have exceeded the Lakshman Rekha brazenly. There are others who are near the line, and there are a few exceptions. But that's the individual case. Don't call it a judicial adjudicatory post which you're getting after retirement.
So do you think Justice Nazir should reject it, Mr. Singhvi? Many are saying this on social media that he should not accept. What is your view?
Well, I'm nobody to advise him or instruct him. I'm saying a matter of principle, since there's no way the government has the magnanimity to accept its mistake. There is no other option if you want to uphold that principle. I think his stature. Do you know that H.R. Khanna, who had in many ways been wronged by supersession, and I say it clearly, even though a Congress regime had wronged him, did become the law minister for 2 days, the law minister of India, a political post. 2 days or a week, I forget. But when he's advised and told, he resigned. Now that has made him immortal.